This is Michael Popak, Legal AF. I don't know if the revolution is going to be televised, but Donald Trump's D.C. election interference case, presided over by Judge Chutkan, it may be televised. Even though federal courts don't generally televise their proceedings, and they take their tone from the top, the U.S. Supreme Court almost never televises their proceedings. Occasionally, it does audio transcripts, and most courts that do oral argument or trial make the audio version of their proceedings available. But TVs in the courtroom in front of a mugging, irrational, erratic, combustible Donald Trump, I would literally pay to see that, hopefully on the MeidasTouch network. Well, as always, a coalition of media and press have filed their motion with Judge Chutkan in order to have it televised. They did the same thing in Mar-a-Lago. We doubt that Judge Aileen Cannon, who seems to be a Federalist Trumper supporter, is going to grant that motion. And she's let similar motions pass by without even commenting on them, even after the hearings have already happened, that the people wanted to televise. But Judge Chutkan, she understands that the weight of this historic trial against a former president for interfering with the peaceful transfer of power and trying to usurp power for himself means something. Yes, it'll be written in history books. Yes, it'll be part of dozens and dozens of federal cases with Trump's name on it, forming new precedent about how to handle a criminal rogue president. Just as there's a series of cases with Richard Nixon's name on it, starting in the 70s and 80s, because of how we handled a rogue president at that time. But televising it, and she put Donald Trump right where she wants him. Rather than grant or deny the motion based on briefing, she's asking for Donald Trump in a recent docket entry, meaning in order of the court. She wants Donald Trump to give his position as to whether things should be televised. Think about the ramifications of that as I read aloud the docket entry. This is a minute order. If you know anything about watching Legal AF or hot takes like this one, in federal court a lot, you'll get an order. It's entered on the docket. It's an electronic list of events in the case by docket number. Cases we're up to, I'm not even sure what docket number we're up to exactly in this case. We're into almost the 200s. And then every event, a filing, a motion, an order, a clerk matter gets docketed with its own number, so you can always file. It helps when you do this case. You can refer to the docket number in future filings. You'll say docket number 6, docket number 22, and then when you take a case on appeal, you're able to cite to the docket number as the record. The minute order is usually a relatively administrative or logistical issue sometimes, and there may not be another written order other than this is the order, the docket entry. So it says minute order as to Donald J. Trump. Defendants, that's him, combined response, if any, to the Media Coalition's application for audiovisual access to criminal trial proceedings and the application of NBC Universal Media to permit video and audio of trial in United States versus Donald Trump is due on November the 10th. So 4 days after Donald Trump is going to be compelled to testify in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case in New York, his lawyers have to put together their papers about whether they want this televised. Now, you would think, and this is where he's on the horns of a dilemma, and I think Judge Chutkan is taking special delight. Mr. Social Media Attacker, Mr. Coward in the back outside of the courtroom, in the hallway, but not in the courtroom, Mr. Steps of the courthouse holding press conferences. Now, here's the question. Do you want your trial, all the evidence, all of the witnesses, whether you testify or not, to be broadcast to the electorate, the people that are going to vote for you, or not? Or do you just want to continue to control the message with your late night outbursts and attacks on prosecutors and their families, court personnel and their families, judges and their families, witnesses and their families, all done on social media where you can tap out and type out the issue, or in softball questions thrown to you by right-wing media and Fox News, and that's really all that's in the hallway anymore at the New York Attorney General case. The mainstream media and people like our network, the MeidasTouch, they're not going anywhere near his horse and pony show that his tambourine shaking that's going on in the courtroom. All right, Donald, Chutkan has called your bluff. Do you want to be a man of the people and have your case, and whether you're exonerated and acquitted or whether you're convicted, seen and televised to billions of people around the world and in America? Or do you want to be a coward and say, no, the solemnity of the process, which I respect, and the soberness of the issues is only properly handled without the prying eyes of the mainstream media, the enemy of the people? Which is it, Donald? Which are you going to take? And Chutkan has now just laid it out there, because he's damned if he does or he's damned if he doesn't. If he says, fine, I'm a man of the people, I'm going to bring down the swamp and drain the swamp, and I want to have my trial televised, she'll allow it. She'll grant it. And if you say you're not going to do that, then you can explain why you've suddenly developed a case of cowardice, not suddenly, and a yellow streak down your back. And now Mr. Social Media, right? Mr. Attacking families and women and doing misogynist rants. That's fine when you've got a bank of cameras in front of you and microphones and late at night on social media, but not so fine when you can't control the message by a prosecutor who's loaded for bear, bringing in witness after witness, dozens of witnesses about your 4 conspiracy counts, your 4 felony counts, and you being on the stand along with co-conspirators that are currently still in your inner circle, like Boris Epstein. If I was a betting man, the over-under on this, Donald Trump is not going to allow the televising of his trial. He'll come up with all sorts of excuses. I would have allowed it. However, in the hands of the Democrats and Joe Biden and the corrupt Department of Justice, I just can't what? You can't what? You can't have an unfiltered televising without commentary, go to the American people and let them make their own decision? Right, because that's what he's afraid of. He's afraid that the American people will finally rip the mask off of him, including his followers, and he will horribly lose the election, which he's slated to do anyway. Forget the polls. The polls are meaningless at this point in an election, and they don't reflect the battleground states or the electorate or the mood of the electorate in November. So the reporting here now is Judge Chutkan has entered an order to put Donald Trump on the horns of a dilemma. Does he continue the charade that he's a man of the people and wants them, without a filter of the media, to make their own decision based on an unfiltered televising of his trial? Or is he scared you know what and a coward and would never allow television cameras to be anywhere near him unless he's in a parking lot, the steps, or in the hallway of a courtroom, but never in a courtroom itself because he can't control his message? You'll be the judge. We'll continue to follow on the Meidas Media Network, on the MeidasTouch Network, on Legal AF, the leading podcast at the intersection of law, politics, and justice, only here that I co-anchor on Saturdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and on audio podcast platforms wherever you can get it. Leave me a thumbs up for this content. You'll see me again probably in another hour on the YouTube channel, and help MeidasTouch get to 2 million free subscribers on YouTube. Until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popak reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.